I've been very curious to ask you this. As a sound designer, you actually work very hard to create magic with your sound, right? But in India, because our theaters are not technologically updated or upgraded, it doesn't give out the same output that you actually hoped for. So how do you deal with the sad state of audio systems in theaters in India?
If you'd asked me this question 5 years ago, I would have said I'm really sad, saddened. Especially when Parisharaja was released in Kerala, there was riots in theaters. People have broken theaters, chairs, and they went into a rampage. Then I had to go into television and tell them, that this is not the way, because the theaters were poorly equipped in terms of speakers and sound reproduction, and this is a fact. In B centers and C centers, this is really a fact. Now with the advent of digital technology, and people are watching Netflix in their phones and they're hearing better things. The awareness has gone into. And the other day, one technology company come and met me, and they said 75% of theaters in Kerala, in the rural areas, have been revamped.
Wow,
that's a huge movement forward. It's happening. It's not just multiplexes, and all the single screen theaters are also been coming forward to technology, upgrade their system. That's hugely happening. But still, I feel there is a lack of standardization even today. Everybody is like, there are many companies offering upgrades and systems and placements and all that, because in the digital domain there's a lot of compartmentalization. Money talks. There is things are available for all kinds of money. So what you go for is a very deciding factor. The longevity of sustaining a standardization in your cinemas is a big task. I think for that the government, and industry, industry unions have to come forward and set in a standardization. The government has to help us. They collect a huge amount of money as entertainment tax. What they give it back to the industry is at least minimum standardization. And there are a lot of, we are all technical people working, and what we follow is the standards set by AES-EBU, Audio Engineer Society, or Broadcast Union in Europe. There are ISO standards that we adhere and follow, and how come that is not followed when a cinema is exhibited is a question that we all have to ask. An audience is paying money not to get hurt. He has to be given the best visual and sound experience. You give multiplexes licenses, and when you give licenses to multiplexes, you also give tax incentive. There is not a single word of technical specifications mentioned in any of the legislations. I was fighting a case about standardization, and when Robo happened, there's a breakdown in one of the screenings in Bombay, and I took it up as a big challenge, and I did a lot of research, and I realized in Maharashtra we were still following a 1924 law framed by the British, amended in 1954 and then in 1962, that only talks about civil norms. Virtually no technical standardizations come from the legislation. So as long as it is not in the legislation, they don't have to follow. There was one law that says, which is a financial law, that gives financial incentive to the multiplexes, that says if the theater is this long or this big, it should be equipped with stereophonic sound. There's no specification. That's not a specification. Films have gone. Digital technology has come in. And from DVD to Blu-ray to HD, there are 2K, 4K. Now we're talking about 8K,
Right.
which we call as window of reality. And where is our B centers and C centers today? We are nowhere near in terms of standardization. We are nowhere near. We are not following any kind of standardization. Which means, when the digital technology came in, we as technicians thought, a same quality print will be watched by the city people and the people in the villages. For me as an artist, they are equally important.
Yeah.
In the film time, one print which ran like 500 times will come to a theater in a village, in a panchayat theater, will come after 1 month, with all the scratches and sound, jumping sound and all that. The people in the villages saw scratchy print 1 month later the release, 2 months later the release. So we thought when the digital technology came in, they will take away the disparity.
Right. Yeah.
An audience in the village and the audience in the metro is treated equally. That's what we thought. Because of the lack of standardization norms, I would say still it is not at par.
At par.
This is something that we have to seriously think as actors, professionals, film practitioners, artists. We have to think, a painter who makes a painting, if he has to exhibit his painting, he goes to a museum where he knows how to, put the frame, how to put it up, where to put it up, so that his painting or his work, whether it is architecture or sculpting, it is looked at in a way that he desired to be looked at. But we as cameramen and sound people and editors and writers and directors, only 30%, 40% of our work finally reaches our audience.
Yeah.
This is a shame as artists, and we only can talk about it and create awareness. The industry body has to take it seriously, the government has to take it seriously. I'm saying you are taking money from people. At least please respect that. Give them the best possible, So it's a sad state, but changing for good.
Right. And at the moment everybody is talking about Dolby Atmos. So is it the best right now?
It's one of the immersive, immersive format sound. There is Oro 3D, there is Dolby Atmos, there is IM sound. There are, when the picture from 2-dimensional picture it went to 3-dimensional picture, and there's a lot of possibility in visual effects. There's a lot of magic that you could create with visual, and we sound people just lacked. From mono sound we went to 5.1, and that's it. But the possibility of sound has been amazing, has been immense. So we had to invent something new to the sound, and so this immersive technology has come, wherein there is sound all around you. That's what happens in real life. There's always sound around you. You may not be listening, but you're hearing. And that's what we do in cinema. We make selective listening to our audience, and we give that immersive experience. Now it is possible. Now we can touch a sound, we can physically position a sound in a theater, within a geometrical space, and give them an experience which they don't get it, when they watch a television. So it will, formats like this, experiments like this, expositions like this will bring people from home to the theater, which is good for the business.
Right. You're really fond of A.R. Rahman, and you're reuniting with him for a couple of projects now. How has the equation evolved with him after post Slumdog Millionaire?
Actually, in Slumdog Millionaire, we never worked together. We never sat in a room and worked. It's actually Gajini that we sat together in this room right there.
Oh,
we started working together, and there arised our kind of relationship and mutual respect for each other's work.